Hi, I am Poem Praise 2. Peace and blessings to you. What it do, what it do. I have an evening read for you. We are going to be coming out of Lies My Teacher Told Me by James Lowen. We are currently still on chapter number 5, which is Gone with the Wind. Okay. This is going to be the last take for this chapter. And then we're going to be going on into chapter number 6. In one moment, I'll let you know what the title of chapter number 6 is. So without further ado, let's get into take number 19. Without further ado, it reads as such. It is true that some immigrant groups faced harsh discrimination. From the "No Irish Need Apply" signs in Boston, to the lynching of Italian Americans in New Orleans, to the pogroms against Chinese work camps in California. Some white suburban communists in North shut out Jews and Catholics until recent years. Nonetheless, the segregation and physical violence aimed at African Americans has been of a higher order of magnitude. If African Americans in the Nadir had experienced only white indifference, as the American adventure implies, rather than overt violent resistance, they could have continued to win Kentucky derbies, deliver mail, and even buy houses in white neighborhoods. Their problem was not black failure or white indifference. It was white racism. Although formal racial discrimination grows increasingly rare as young Americans grow up, they cannot avoid coming up against the rift of race relations. They will encounter predominantly black athletic teams cheered by predominantly white cheerleaders on television, self-segregated dining rooms on college campuses, and arguments about affirmative action in the workplace. More than any other social variable, in parentheses, except sex, race will determine whom they will marry. Most of their friendship networks will remain segregated by race, and most churches, lodges, and other social organizations will be overwhelmingly either black or non-black. The ethnic incidents and race riots of tomorrow will provoke still more agonizing debate. Since the Nadir, the climate of race relations has improved, owing especially to the civil rights movement. But massive racial disparities remain inequalities that can only be briefly summarized here. In 2000, African American and Native American median family incomes average only 62% of white family income. Hispanics average about 64%, as much as whites. Money can be used to buy many things in our society, from higher SAT scores to the ability to swim. And African American, Hispanic, and Native American families lag in their access to all those things. Ultimately, money buys life itself in the form of better nutrition and health care and freedom from danger and stress. It should therefore come as no surprise that in 2000, African Americans and Native Americans had median life expectancies at birth that were 6 years shorter than whites. On average, African Americans still have worse housing, lower scores on IQ tests, and higher percentages of young men in jail. The sneaking suspicion that African Americans might be inferior goes unchallenged in the hearts of some blacks and many whites. It is all too easy to blame the victim and conclude that the people of color and themselves were responsible for being on the bottom without a casual historical analysis. These racial disparities are impossible to explain. When textbooks make racism invisible in American history, they obstruct our already poor ability to see it in the present. The closest they come to analysis is to present a vague feeling of optimism in race relations. As in everything, our society is constantly getting better. We used to have slavery. Now we don't. We used to have lynchings. Now we don't. Baseball used to be all white. Now it isn't. The notion of progress suffuses textbook treatments of black-white relations, implying that race relations have somehow steadily improved on their own. This cheery optimism only compounds the problem because whites can't infer that racism is over. The U.S. has done more than any other nation in history to provide equal rights for all. The American tradition assures us, of course, its authors have never seriously considered the levels of human rights in Netherlands, Lesotho, or Canada today, or in Choctaw society in 1800, because don't mean their declaration as a serious statement of comparative history. It is just ethnocentric cheerleading. High school students have a gloomy view of the state of race relations in America today, according to nationwide polls. Students of all racial backgrounds brood about the subject. Another poll reveals that for the first time in this century, young white adults have less tolerant attitudes toward Black Americans than those over 30. One reason is that the under 30 generation is pathetically ignorant of recent American history, too young to have experienced or watched the civil rights movement as it happened. These young people have no understanding of the past and present workings of racism in American society. Educators justify teaching history because it gives us perspective on the present. If there is one issue in the present to which authors should relate the history they tell, the issue is racism. But as long as history textbooks make white racism invisible in the 20th century, neither they nor the students who use them will be able to analyze race relations intelligently in the 21st. This does complete Take 19 of chapter number 5, Gone with the Wind. Stay tuned for chapter number 6 here on Poem Praise 2. The title is John Brown. and Abraham Lincoln. The invisibility of anti-racism in American history textbooks. If you are not a subscriber, you could go ahead and subscribe at this time. Hit the thumbs up and like, share, and hit that notification bell. You know when Poem Praise 2, is coming with something new for you. I do want for you to be well. Take care. Be safe. Be blessed. And it be it thy will, let us continue to heal. Poem Praise 2. I'll talk and I'll see you. Later, 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 y'all. All right, y'all. Till next time. Later.